All right, y'all. That's enough of Kirk Franklin. We love Kirk Franklin, but that's enough of Kirk Franklin. Thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in to check us while we chop it up right now with MAiNE. MAiNE, unmute yourself. And I want to hear that amazing voice of yours. And shout out to everybody that's in the comment section and everybody that's tuned in, locked in. Go tell 7 more people to come on right now. Tell them that Buffalo hip hop artist MAiNE is on and he's about to get a little personal with y'all. He has a new project and it's called Last Impression. Am I correct by saying that this is your debut project?
This is my debut album. I had a project 6 years ago. But, it was called but didn't really get traction because I didn't promote it.
Okay.
I didn't do it well, actually.
Okay. Understood. So this is the big one. This is the debut that everybody needs to pay attention to.
I would say, yeah.
It looks like you were freezing up there for a quick second. You were freezing up there a quick second. So I was saying this is the big debut, pretty much, because you had released, other singles. You collaborated with a couple of other people out there upstate, but this is your official debut, full-length project. All you, no collaborations, all you.
Yes, just me. No music from anybody. No verses from anybody. Just a little bit of influence here and there from other people.
Okay, excellent. The first thing I have to say, the name of the project is Last Impression. And the first impression that I got was, wow, he has no beats on here. That was my first impression. Like, I listened to the intro, and then I listened to the first track, and then I listened to the second track. And because we've all been conditioned to hear the beat. We're all conditioned and we're waiting for the beat to drop. But there was no beat dropping. It was just your internal beat as a creative person. Tell the people why you decided not to go with any beats at all.
I didn't go with any beats because I wanted people to understand that lyrics should still have place. And like I came out with a hashtag maybe 2 or 3 years ago, back when me and Constant Battle were doing a monthly verse release, if you will.
Okay.
It was a MELLA, which means make them listen to lyrics again.
Okay.
And that's what essentially that was the mindset behind it, because so many people get lost in the beat. So I wanted it to be said that there was no beat, but the lyrics were still pertinent.
Excellent, excellent. And so without further ado, we are going to start with the first track right here. It's called Last Impression. Folks, it's your girl, Serious Voice, Yes Hour Radio. And this is the debut project from MAiNE, Buffalo hip hop artist.
MAiNE, you have been condemned to death by a panel and judge of our peers because of your failure to adhere to subjugation in accordance with the interests and greed of our superiors. Do you have a last word before your execution? Finished. Fire it.
All right, and now we're going to go right into track 2. And after track 2, we'll have MAiNE explain why he decided to introduce the project in such a manner.
Well, here we are, the end of the road. As we won't meet again, I just want to say it's been a very long journey. I'm good with the fact that I've met you. Growth and patience are what it's taken to get here. For any time I've hurt you or offended you, I truly apologize for my wrongdoings and ask your forgiveness. Through all this, I only hope that you've gained something from my presence. And if not, I pray you will gain something from my absence.
All right, so we're back to you, MAiNE. Explain to the listeners and to the viewers why you decided to open the project in such a manner.
So one of the thought processes behind it was I have melanin and I live in America. So with that being said, a lot of times you don't get the story of the person until after something has happened to them, whether you whether they're dead and gone, or whether they just got beat up by the cops, or different things like that. You don't get the full narrative until after they're not able to tell their side of the story. So opening up like that was to kind of give reference to that a little bit, but it also is, it goes a lot deeper than that, because there's a line that I say in one of the tracks. I say, he makes known the martyr. God, Jesus, who makes known the martyr. And I just believe that if that is the way that I am supposed to go, then I'm okay with it. And hopefully my story is told. And what is said on this album is part of my story. So I wanted to open it up like that, and also to give people a shock, because when I was recording that, it took a lot, because I did all of the recording myself.
Okay.
And so I had to I literally had to set up 2 microphones, because I only had it's funny because I only had 1 shot to take.
Okay.
I wasn't going to take any more shots. So when I set up the microphones, I took the, what I used was, I think it was one of the microphones was a Shure, but I had to put it in a window far enough away from the gun in order to get a good sound. But when I did that, I took it outside on my back porch. I took the shot, and I think it came out pretty well. I just had to bring the levels down. But it was just, that's one of my most important tracks to me, because it speaks the volumes that I want it to speak.
Okay, excellent. So now we're going to move on to track number 3. Keep it locked right here. Yes Hour Radio, the positive voice of New York.
I lost sales because I've never had a pop hit, because I heard about but didn't write about the gossip. I lost sales because I didn't keep up nonsense and can't do it now because I am out of my conscience. I lost sales because I didn't play to a role, had complete control of my records, was set on making it known. I lost sales because I never lost my soul, more focused on the reward than getting paid in gold. I lost sales because I didn't compromise my flows, melanin in my face already, so I couldn't brown nose. I lost sales because I didn't care to take the road. I stuck my stake in the game and couldn't make my name known. I lost sales because I was comfortable on my own, wasn't always rapping with my brothers, so I went at it alone. I lost sales because I didn't play on the phone. Whenever I got a feature, I went to the artist on my own. I lost sales because I wrote less tracks and more songs. More important that you see the dexterity shown. I lost sales because I didn't do what I don't condone, bending over to get a deal of me hugging and get a song. I lost sales because I said how to play my music, to play the full extent and not to skim through it. I lost sales because I would rather be an influence than be influenced by the falsehoods you're pursuing. I lost sales because I didn't care to ruin this affluent art form and movement. I lost sales because I didn't care to play truant. I thank God I didn't have to play the unit. I lost sales because I gave the best of myself. It didn't concern me with the lots of folks that wanted me less of myself. I lost sales because I never fell short of my wealth or worth, and since birth was working on myself. I lost sales because I never put my truth on the shelf. Ironically, more concerned with the gospel than my health. I lost sales because I didn't live my life for self and took honor, not getting credit for doing for someone else. I lost sales because craft takes precedence over cash. Had a long-standing career and success wasn't fast. I lost sales because I was never on my last leg up on the competition because my composition lasts. I lost sales because I didn't focus on my past. I done looked death in the face and heard the bang when it flashed. I lost sales because since the beginnings, I was brash with more value than pure gold kilos as it's cast. I lost sales because I was self-motivated. I took my time and hit the marks with my releases, so I know they hated. I lost sales because I didn't care to know they favored. My art is subjective. Now that might be one of my coldest statements.
Boom. I lost sales. Tell the people about that. I think this is one of the dopest ones on the project, because it just, from the moment you said the first couple of lines, as a fellow artist, as a fellow creative, I just felt some type of way, because you talked about you're not in a position to bend over to get a deal. You talked about you'd rather be an influence. You also mentioned you didn't do a bunch of things, just to get a song.
Yeah.
Talk to the people about why you felt like this had to be on this project.
So the thing about it is, to me, like I have a line that says, this is my first chance to give you a last impression. So with that being said, from jump, I'm wanting people to understand, like, first of all, MAiNE ain't gonna bend over for nobody just to get a deal, literally and figuratively. And I'm gonna do what I can artistically, the way that I set out to do it. And I'm not gonna do it like I'm not good at writing hooks. That's
Okay.
that you can tell from the from the album if you care to listen. But additionally, I don't want to do like the single route. I don't want to do I just don't want to do what everybody else has done already. Like I want to show some type of dexterity.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm sure that if I was given enough time, I could probably put something together as far as doing like a pop album and making it so that it's so palpable that anybody could listen to it and anybody could dance to it and everything like
Right.
that, but it would still have a good amount of lyrics. If if I was signed to a label and they wanted me to water it down, it would still have like a tinge of Jesus and everything like that, but not so much that it's just not me at all. I'm the idea behind it is literally I'm not gonna lose myself, and I'm gonna make it so that it's understood throughout my whole career, and every single piece of artistry that I put out, you're gonna get who MAiNE is, and you're gonna get it the way that I wanted it put out. To make sure that it's understood, like this is 100% MAiNE rather than a machine. There's no machine behind me, and I don't plan on there ever being a machine behind me that is going to dictate how I express myself.
Understood. It's funny because, as someone who's on the executive board of an independent label and have been on one for years and have collaborated, I've been signed to labels and have worked with different people in gospel music, in mainstream hip hop. A lot of times I hear independent artists, they debase the whole machine of the label, and they kind of they overlook the importance of why an independent artist might need a label. It could be Reach Records, it could be God Over Money, it could be, you know, whatever the label is, because a lot of the mainstream, they amplify everything. So what you might get from an indie gospel hip hop label, it's amplified by 10 times with mainstream. And really, the label has been placed there to expose you to millions of people versus 10,000 or 500. But the one thing that I keep seeing over and over, because I can speak from both sides, is artists complaining, oh, the label want my masters, oh, the label want this, oh, the label want that. But the artists never talk about how the label will work to get them on these major platforms. They don't talk about how the label is working. They're always complaining. And most of the time, I'd say 99.9% of the time when I see an artist complaining is because they sit on their butt, they do nothing, and then they just want to complain about the label. How are you as a Buffalo artist, because there are hundreds of Christian hip hop artists in Buffalo, as there are in New York City, how are you separating yourself from the rest of the pack? And how are you making yourself attractive to, you know, an investor, perhaps a CHH label, or even mainstream that's willing to pump money into what you're doing?
So my first move, like with this album having came out two to almost 3 weeks ago, this is kind of my quote unquote demo, if you will.
Okay.
Where this is what I will place on the table if somebody is, you know, wanting to talk to me in a boardroom. But one thing my main concern is not giving up artistic freedom, complete artistic freedom, because my favorite artist is Prince.
Okay.
And literally most of his career has been founded in artistic freedom. But that's also one of the reasons why I'm not necessarily looking for like a major label, if you will, because I know that I can get it done on my own. And, you know, really the only thing I would ever, I guess, want from a major label is distribution, because I know that they can reach the people that I can't.
Right.
And I think that's what independent artists need to consider and understand. And as long as the paperwork is good, as long as you can read it and understand for yourself that this is a good deal for you, if you're willing to give up 15%, if you're willing to give up 30% of royalties or whatever the case, by all means do that if that's what you want. But I feel like the more that people put themselves out there, the more people are going to be attracted to it. So if you can get it done without a label, you can get it, or if you could get it done with a label, I feel like stay consistent with your craft and genuinely work on your art, you could get it done without a label too. It just might take a little bit longer.
Right. And so right now we want to jump into the fourth track. Keep it locked right here. Be sure to share this feed with all of your fam and friends right here on Facebook. This is Yes Our Radio, the positive voice of New York.
Get killed by them or kill yourself. Double entendre. That's dependent on how you feel yourself. Triple entendre. Not much of a scheme, but mapped out strategically. So speak this into a mirror and you'll see what it needs to be. Get killed by them or kill yourself. Double entendre. That's my mantra. I speak that so I conquer. I am honored to be fathered by the man who makes fathers in the absolute, who makes known the martyr. I've been a partner of this dog-eat-dog world. That has my number. I spent too much time with this call girl. 94, I made an impression on y'all world. In the second quarter of the year, I shed tears. My fears lessened, my peers lessened. I gained less tolerance for weird questions. Because I care more about my business, I speak the truth, so I don't have to focus on forgiveness. In my moments of repentance, I done fallen short, but I'm moving different. Put that on your war report. Jesus is my captain as I'm navigating through this torrid sport. But of course, it's still me and my flesh on the court.
All right. And now we're going to move on to number 5. And then MAiNE is going to come in and just give us a breakdown.
Politics and nonsense. What's crazy about the news is there is nothing new to the conscious. What does not continue movement cannot be considered a constant. Most of us in bondage. Those who thought it was just jokes now know they should have listened to George Carlin. Most claim to care, but only care if they're starving. They wouldn't thank the giver if there's no turkey carving. Elephants usually have the biggest ego in the room. Donkeys just care to have the biggest C-note in the room. Democrats scared to see true civilians strapped. Republicans only worry if their money is tapped. If money and power weren't a possible goal, most of the world wouldn't know their role. So I'm stuck in this land of the free and lost souls trying to figure how it's free when the land gets sold. Have you ever considered that? Don't even think about the way this postman delivers that until you understand fully what I am getting at. The reason I give everything that I got is because I'll never even have a reason to stop. Also, they're already digging out my plot.
All right. All right. That was dope. That little twist right there. Break it down for the people because you get a little political there. A side that we don't always see from MAiNE. You're getting a little political and you're speaking the truth, especially at such a time like this where, you know, we're dealing with the coronavirus and the unemployment rates are ridiculously high. It hasn't been this low in decades. Speak on that and what motivated you to talk about politics, about Democrats and Republicans in that track.
So maybe both. That is a track that was inspired by Sho Baraka, because he has a track called Maybe Both, and he talks about the situations that we go through being in America and having melanin, and that is from his album. I forget the album, but it's one of my favorite albums, I'll say, from him. But the hook on his track is are we dealing with a pistol or a vote? Is it a ballot or a bullet? Let me know. Or maybe it's both. So essentially the idea behind the verse that I wrote was, it was like essentially a damned if you will, damned if you won't type of deal, where like the presidential election we had a few years ago, where it was Hillary versus Donald Trump, where, you know, they both have their cons. Of course, in the society that we live in, like, they have to have pros in order to actually be taken seriously. But these pros are very, very, very outweighed by the cons, and nobody considers that. And you have to pick you literally just have to pick between, you know, cyanide or ricin, where, you know, both of them are going to kill you really quickly.
Right.
And, I really just took from that track and said, and one thing I did want to say, I did that even though I don't have the beat for it. I still wrote the track because it inspired me to do so. And essentially I wrote it to the same measure in which his song was. But I even though I know I would never have the beat for it. But I wanted to give the thought that politics are nonsense. And I was trying to make sure that I was speaking across the board. That's why I brought up George Carlin. A lot of Black people don't know who George Carlin is.
I do. Yeah. You know what? I think you have to have a certain taste for a certain kind of entertainment, and you have to have that exposure. Exposure comes with you know, wanting to listen and hear from different people in different sectors, different ethnicities. Oftentimes, you know, a lot of people with our, you know, our melanin aren't really interested in that. Unless they you know, they fraternize with a certain sect of people, and then they're exposed to it. So when you mentioned him, I'm like, oh, okay. But that was good because we can't always say the same lines that everybody's saying. John 3:16, 66 bullets. And the
Yeah.
same old corny stuff over and over. It's like, okay, we've heard this a million times already.
Yeah.
Can we do something different? But I'm gonna shut up because we have a number of people who posted questions on here, and we want to go to Sarah. Sarah said, "Is your next project already in the works? Any release date?" Sarah's jumping the gun.
Goodness. Can I have some time, please? It definitely is in the works. I've already reached out to a couple of artists that are going to be featured. It's going to be executive produced by my sister and my mother, actually. I already have the music for it. I'm in the writing stage, but I'm also in the let me relax stage because I want to know what I want to say, and I want to say it correctly.
Okay.
But no, as far as the release date goes, there isn't one yet because I'm actually me and my team, we're actually working on getting We Fight Daily released and promoted correctly. Because
Constant Battles Project.
Yeah, because I work with other people. So
yes.
That should there's actually a single that's dropping this month. But we have a lot of stuff in the works. So I'll share that at a later point in time once we have some more things in concrete.
Okay. And Jamel Williams Powell said, what inspired you to go all a cappella, which was one of the first questions that I asked, but you can definitely respond to him.
So with what I've already said, I'll just give another reason. My favorite artist is Prince. He released his first album in 1978. His first his first major label release was 1978, and he wrote all of the music, all of the lyrics, and everything like that, all on his own. And because of the greatness that I have always looked up to, I really wanted to. I would say that emulate is the wrong word, but I wanted to put that into practice for myself, and I'm genuinely happy with the result that I got because you got me. There was no way that you could say that, the influence of someone else was brought down the quality of the project or anything. So that was kind of that was one of the motivations behind No Music, because I'm not great at my music making yet.
Okay.
So, but I'm great at bending the words to I'm great at lyrics. So.
Okay. Well, that's a part of being a hip hop artist. You feel good about yourself, and you put stuff that you like out there because it does something for you initially. We're gonna skip to the next track so that people that are coming in the middle of the interview. This is YesR Radio, the positive voice of New York. I'm your host tonight, Serious Voice, and we have Buffalo hip hop artist MAiNE, and we're doing a listening session for his album Last Impression.
I'm in a weight class that packs a harder punch. Even if you punch more, my punches get the job done. Or we at war, you get an award, or you get ignored. Either or, you come to find out we're on different accords. We plan specific duties, spreading God's love like Jesus and philanthropy like the fluids. Buffalo is my city, and New York can be my mind state. Don't have to put out 33 mixtapes to make the rhymes break. Not the absolute, but even my hat says I'm great, so I don't have to question it. You can second guess it, but your doubts don't stop me. I came up and became a pessimist, resurrected as in this flow. Why should I hate? I think they have a problem with some of the moves that I made, but I'm gonna keep on doing this for the people in Christ's sake. One thing that I hate is a rise in the crime rate, and that's, but I'm ready to shoot bugs like Elmer Fudd. I never cared to be the type to hold a grudge, but I can recognize when folks aren't showing love. Envy is understated. That's one thing that I trust, but bars like this usually cause a fuss. That's true. Don't like when you do. What I said is really, really true. They don't even really like when you. They really would. Nah,
So talk about that. You know what you remind me? Who's this rapper that did this? It's called Bar Exam, and I was just listening to it this week. You know who I'm talking about, hip hop artist.
Yeah, Royce the 5'9".
Yes. Royce 5'9". I completely respect that dude. He epitomizes bars, and he often does these little quirky things with his music. Like he
Yes.
kind of steps out of the music, and it's like he becomes this character, but it's like a real dude on the block. And there's this one line that he has in one of his songs where he's like, "Man, I'm not even gonna fight you. I'm gonna jump out of the car and just mush you in the face." Like it's like a out of the box type of deal, but you're so sucked in that you're hanging on that, and then it becomes like you see the visual in your head. And like even that last track, it's kind of like you're sucked in and we're listening to you, and then you kind of fade off and you're like, yeah. It's like we're having a conversation, and then you come back and then you just drop out. That was kind of clever. I like that because hip hop does not have to be corny or boring. I think that one of the things that more Christian hip hop artists need to do, or hip hop artists, period, they need to be more creative. They need to find different ways to pull the listener in and just get them sucked in. And once you have someone pulled in, they're gonna listen to the whole album. They're gonna listen to everything that you drop because they can relate to you and because what you're putting out resonates with them. What was one of the things that you said to yourself while you were recording this? Because you said it took you a day to record this one, or 2 days?
2 days.
It took 2 days.
The writing was years and years. Like I don't want to act like I'm the greatest of all time. Like no, it took the writing was
2 days,
extensive, but
years,
the recording
years to write.
Yeah,
I get that. So throughout the years when you're working on the project, how did you keep yourself disciplined to say, I want to keep this project with a specific theme? I want to talk about certain thing and not stray away, because sometimes, and I know this for a fact, I've experienced this, you're so excited for the debut project that whenever someone comes, with a potential beat or a potential theme, you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing that too. How did you keep yourself, in the straight and narrow and disciplined enough to make sure that everything fit with the last impression theme?
Well, one of the biggest things was I didn't talk to anybody about it, like the lyrics or anything like that. Like my team, they heard, I think they heard Last Impression. They might have heard I know for a fact that I put out, I did Heavyweight at a show, like the song that just played. But other than that, I didn't give too much to anybody else because I wanted it to stay with me. Like I didn't want anybody to be like, oh, I don't like that track so much. And even though it wouldn't cause me to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna take it off. Like, no, it's just knowing the product that I want, and also knowing that I'm gonna have more opportunity to give more. So I'm okay with scrapping a couple songs, because there was probably 5 or 6 more tracks that were actually supposed to be on the album. The last track wasn't supposed to be on there. Maybe both wasn't supposed to be on there, but I was able to execute them well enough in order to make them fit. But that one is that was me kind of showing that was kind of me showing that I'm still nice with like lyrics and everything, because I'm from New York, not the city, but I'm from New York, and that's one of the reasons.
Let them know you're from Buffalo. Let them know.
That's one of the reasons I said like New York can be my mind state, because not the not the thinking of crime in the New York state of mind, but I can be like I can do the braggadocious rap like so many people can,
Right.
but I do it a lot. I try to make sure that it's understood the reason that I do it, and not necessarily um and not necessarily doing it to just do it. I do it because I'm able to, but I always I always make sure that it's understood the reason that I'm able to do it, which is God. You
Okay.
know. And
Excellent.
yeah,
And
that was one of my favorite tracks because that's not, yeah, it's easy to do that one.
speaking of God, we have another question. Who are your Christian artist influences, if any?
Yeah. Christian artist influences.
Because you talked about Prince, but we know that Prince didn't do gospel.
Yeah,
So
he technically was a Jehovah. No. Um my Christian influences are, one of my biggest influences is Ty Tribbett.
oh, okay.
Because can he's very musically inclined,
Right,
and
right.
I feel as though um his composition skills are just amazing. Um but as far as the rappers go, Truth is definitely one of my biggest. There's also an artist in Jersey right now
Okay.
named T Wise.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of Two Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually frustrates me how dope he is.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when you talked about Royce the 5'9", like I listen to Royce all the time. He frustrates me, and T Wise frustrates me.
Yeah.
Um, but T Wise, Truth, of course, Ambassador. Like if you don't have Ambassador in your gospel top 5, then you
Yeah.
obviously don't have
What's wrong with
a
you?
good
Yeah,
top 5.
I agree. I agree. I completely agree. I think that the influence of cross movement is just so downplayed.
Yeah,
I think people need to shed more light on cross movement. But the problem is that the newbies of today, of the genre, of the gospel music, Christian hip hop genre, they don't know the history of the music, and so they don't understand the impact that cross movement had. They don't understand, the Truth, Ambassador, all of these guys, even Swift, all of them
yeah,
came out of cross movement. Lecrae came out of cross movement. We could go away. A lot of these Flame came out of cross movement. I mean, it's insane how all of them came out of this branch, and they just branched off. They just broke off and did their own thing. But obviously, they're all still glorifying Christ. But
yeah,
I think that the new CHH of today they need to take a trip down memory lane and learn about all of these people that started it, took it to because cross movement was the first group to really take gospel and hip hop and put it out there for the masses to hear. There had been
yeah,
people that were doing it way before them, but they didn't have that machine. They didn't have that push behind them. So they might have been doing it in these little churches, down the block. And of course, Mr. C is on. He's like our cross movement historian here at Yes Already. He'll tell you all the guys, first name, last name, where they live, what they did. He'll break it down for you. The impact they had. But a little bit of what he knows has rubbed off on me. And plus, you can't do radio and gospel media and not know, who impacted, who started what, who, what,
yeah,
where, when, and how. So, but I think that today's CHH, they need to go back and learn the history. And when a person like Truth and Ambassador and Flame and R. Swift and all these guys post something, it's not coming because they want your attention, it's because they know.
yeah.
They've been there, done that, and they know.
One of my first well, actually, quite frankly, my introduction to gospel hip hop was Gospel Gangsters. And it's
Okay.
like people are gonna like hear that name and laugh, but it's like, no, these dudes, like they were it. And people aren't gonna understand that because they're so used to the Lecrae's, the Andy Minios,
Right.
You know, the Triplies, which obviously, you know, they are making their mark, and that's all right. But I think that because of the success that Reach Records has had, I think that's why their success kind of overshadows um, the history behind
Right.
it,
Right. Right.
especially with the quote unquote crossover quality that Lecrae has.
Right, exactly. And you know, that's something that Christian artists need to be careful of. People need to know, even if you do just a regular hip hop song, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me put it out there and make it very clear. There's nothing wrong with a person who is a follower of Christ to just do a song for the sake of doing a song. It could be a young man who wants to do a song for his wife. He wants to put out a love song. Is there
Yeah.
something wrong with that? That's the way you express yourself, right? Um, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you outright say, "Listen, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be labeled this way," it doesn't look right.
Yep.
The impression that it gives is very bad. It's like you scorn something. You don't want to be labeled and put in that box. You know, nobody wants to be labeled as something corny or whack or whatever. We always want to be labeled as something great, something popping, something that's now and relevant. However, you know, if I was to do a mainstream song, y'all would know in the mainstream song that I'm a gospel artist. Back in the day, now I'm gonna say this for the hip hop heads that are out there that are watching this video live and on the repeat. Back in the day, the percentage of hip hop artists that put their religion in their music, it was very heavy. It was very high percentage, and a lot of them were Muslim. And I'm not on here to bash Muslims. A lot of them push their Muslim religion through the music, and it was a very high percentage. And then there came a point where now the Christians came in and started doing it, but they had to do it in such a hidden kind of surreptitious way. You know, it's like, okay, people like, well, they believe in God, but which God? You know what I'm saying? It was like they would. And then if you remember, when Run DMC came in, with it was a God song that they came in with. I can't quite remember the name, but
Down with the King.
Yeah, Down with the King. That was a gospel hip hop song. That was a straight gospel hip hop song. If you ever seen a gospel hip hop song, but it wasn't labeled CHA. Back then, it wasn't no holy hip hop or gospel hip hop. It was just a mainstream hip hop song, and they were basically declaring that we down with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, because we all know who Reverend Run believes in. We know what he believes in. And the bottom line is we should not be afraid. We should not be afraid to express, because it's been done over and over in hip hop. You know, people who are atheists, agnostics, and all that stuff, they're not ashamed to say, I'm a devil worshiper and I don't believe in this. They're not ashamed to say it at all. So why are we ashamed to proclaim that we're Christians, that we're followers of Christ? You know?
So, what's funny is Mos Def is one of Mos Def and Talib Kweli. They fit my they're in my third spot on my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I love listening to Mos Def, but as soon as his album starts, it starts off with a prayer.
Right.
That was one of the biggest reasons that I had to make sure that there was a prayer on this album. Even though it wasn't like at the beginning, there's a reason behind why it wasn't at the beginning. But as well as that, one of Constant Battle's biggest influences is DMX. And every single album, there's been a prayer, no matter what.
Right.
And I think that was one of the reasons why I make sure that there's going to be a prayer on every one of my albums as well.
Excellent. I want to play the last track on here. We're going to skip down to the last track on here, track 14. And then when we come back, we'll have you give everyone your contact info, how they can download the project. This is Yes Our Radio, folks, the positive voice of New York.
He was born in 1994. He hates everything. God, music, his children, his mother, his sister, the ribs. He sure loves those pork ribs. He never saw life going good for him. He didn't expect it. At one point in time, he didn't want it to. He always knew he'd go through some hardships, because that's the way life was set up for him. He'd always had thoughts of tapping out. It was God, his mother, his sister, his niece, and his nephew that kept him going. But don't take my word for it.
Don't take my word for it. So just tell the folks how they can download this project. Give them your website.
You can go to lgi5main.bandcamp.com. When this is all said and done, I'm gonna go on to Facebook and type in the thing, what is it? The link. I'm gonna put the link on the
right
in the comments, and you could check back later for that. But it's LGI, the number 5, MAINE.bandcamp.com.
I'm posting that now. Excellent, excellent. Any last words for our viewers before you go?
First and foremost, I appreciate you for checking it out. Follow Yes Hour Radio, the like page, as well as the people. As
well as the people.
Huh?
As well as the people. No, I like that.
Yeah. But understand that God is with you, even through all of the situations that are going on, whether it be the police brutality, whether it be this COVID situation, whether it be the Ahmaud Arbery. Do you remember his name?
Yes, it's kind of difficult to pronounce, but Ahmaud, yes.
And obviously, of course, my prayers go out to that family, but God is still here no matter what the situation is. Even though sometimes you can't see him, sometimes he's just waiting for you to come to him. And that's what's most important. But pay attention, be paying attention. Follow me at LGI_MAiNE on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and I think that's it. Because I'm gonna have some more announcements going on. Enjoy the album. I put it out there for y'all, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. And for all the people that came through, that watched this video live and on the repeat, thank you for checking this interview out with Buffalo hip hop artist MAiNE. Log on to his website, LGI5, that's the number 5, MAINE.bandcamp.com. That's LGI, the number 5, MAINE.bandcamp.com. And you can also follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and Snap. Are people still on Snap? Because I've kind of lost hope.
I don't know.
I have an account, but I just uninstalled the app and I have no intention of going back.
Honestly, I use it.
One last question. What does LGI stand for? Your friend Maurice from Buffalo wants to know.
Yeah. All right, constant battle. LGI stands for Let God Initiate. That was a mantra that I adopted when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
Let God initiate, because quite frankly, if you don't, you're gonna get yourself into some trouble. So
right.
that was even though I didn't always follow it, that's what that means. And there's going to be, because I know exactly why he posted that, there's gonna be merchandise and everything that is gonna have that on there. And it will be available soon. I'm working on that now.
Okay, excellent. Give us a little freestyle. Let's go out on a freestyle. Get the people fired up. This is your moment.
Okay. Are you going?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna give you a beat.
I bet.
A beat.
When I could have went left. Wait, is it? Jesus made me right. I could have jumped to my death. Jesus made me right. I could have been in the pen instead of with this pen. I don't want any friends. I'm trying to make you kin. I'm trying to make you understand the Lord has got a plan for every woman and man, from Japan to the lost and jealous. Get your girls, ladies. Get your men, fellas. I use my own blood to paint this picture until my hands swell up. A third of my body is fluid I use to spit. You ain't heard gospel rap like this? You better get used to it. I represent for Christians who don't salute the crucifixion, are directly forgiven, and truly believe Jesus is risen. I could have decided to be Scarface incarnated, but I'm on God's team, trying to make sure you and your squad make it. MAiNE doesn't have to be the crowd's favorite. When he sees Jesus, that's when he'll have his crown tailored.
Amen. That's what's up. Thank you so much, my brother. Buffalo, stand up, support your own. Buffalo, New York, rapper, MAiNE, father, everything, doing his thing, encouraging the young people. That's what's up. Last impression, go get it. LGI5MAiNE at bandcamp.com. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, our radio, the positive voice of New York. God bless you.